Instagram, this is day 4 on my 30-day challenge that I'm doing with Coach Kelly. So we're supposed to go live 30 days in a row. And if you see me looking at this and this, I'm recording this with my camera for the podcast. So today's topic, or the theme of the whole month right now, is everything you need to know about your man and or your future man. So with talking about men, I'm always going to be honest. I always want to be transparent from how I see things and how other men can see things. And I also want to just open up for questions. Usually when we put all men or all women into a category, that's usually the wrong thing, because all men aren't the same and all women aren't the same. So today's topic, how do I know if it's working? Talking about healing right now. How do I know if it's working? If you are a woman and you're dealing with a man, here are some things that you could look for to know if he's healing or not. Why does healing take priority in a lot? Because a person who's not healed in a certain area, they're going to be stuck in that area, and they're going to only be able to go to a certain limit or a certain place in that area. If a person has trust issues, there's only so far they can go in a relationship. If a person has daddy issues, mommy issues, there's only so far they're going to be able to go until they actually confront that issue and handle it. That's not easy, but it's possible. So here's the first thing you can do to notice if the healing journey is actually working from a woman looking into a man, or at their boyfriend, husband, son, whatever. How does that person respond when that issue comes back up? So for me, I had a lot of trauma with my dad. And when my dad's name or anything about my dad, and if anyone mentioned I looked like him, I sounded like him, I would literally freeze up, and I would literally feel the need to say some unpleasant things. We're not going to say those things today, but I would feel the need to say unpleasant things. How did I find out that it was working? When I started to realize that it was a lot of impact of how he treated me, how he acted, the times that he wasn't there, I started realizing once I started forgiving him and taking layers off and going through a whole process of healing, when his name came back up, the feeling wasn't there anymore. There was no animosity, there was no anger, there was no hatred. It wasn't there anymore. But along the way, I started realizing that when his name was mentioned, when my dad's name was mentioned, it lessened. At first, when his name was mentioned, I would hate it. And then bit by bit, as I began to heal and forgive and to let those layers come off, it didn't bother me as much. And today, you can say my dad's name, you could put me in front of my dad, and those feelings are not there. So first tip is, if you're a woman and you're dealing with a man, a husband, a mate, a son, an uncle, whoever, a brother, when you mention what had hurt them or what they're healing from, the reaction is going to kind of tell you where they're at. The flip side of the reaction is usually they just shut down. They don't say anything. So it's not like a blow up, but they don't say anything. That's just as bad. The second tip you can know if the healing journey is working is listen to how the person is talking about their experience with any of it. When they're healing and they're actually allowing the process to take place, they're not talking from a place of just straight defeat or a straight place of anger. Sometimes they might when they first start, but it's not always a place of anger. So I'll give you an example again from my dad. When I began going to therapy, my first therapy session, I told her, I don't want to talk about my dad. I don't care about it. I don't think it's important. Of course, immediately she knew that this is probably going to be one of the biggest topics that we tackle. Probably 6 months down the line, I was crying, talking about it, crying about it, listening, getting advice, letting things out. My language started to change from I hate him to why is he this way to man, he never had a father either. The language began to change. So you begin to see in the healing journey, in the healing process, that how you talk about it starts to change as well. The last tip I would say from a woman looking in is to just ask simple questions. How do you feel? Does this affect you? At first, every man's going to probably say, no, it does not affect him. We know he's not telling the 100% truth. But asking general questions, hey, how does this make you feel? How do you see that? But my thing is to ask him as if he's the expert, how do you think this will make another man feel? Now, from a man, since I'm a man, from a man, how do I know the healing journey is working? I had an incident this morning when I was watching a video from Tim Ross on launching the B-Side app, that was a great video. If you get a chance to go watch it, go watch it. Tim Ross, he's going in a different direction with an app called the B-Side app, and he's bringing a point about having people who are there for you who don't look like you, who may not be your preferred type of person. And immediately as he's saying that, someone who I literally ran away from, who is a mentor to me, ran away from him. I ran away from him. I had to apologize and I had to ask for forgiveness. If he would have asked me 4 or 5 months ago to do that, it wouldn't have happened. So that's an indicator for me. One of the second things is how I start to see people around me, people in the future, people close to me. Trauma usually blocks your eyesight to seeing certain things. Trauma also begins to help you see things through shattered lenses. So instead of seeing things for as it is, you only see things as, I need to protect myself, I need to be safe. That's another indicator. The last indicator is I like to journal. And I like to go back and read over some of my journal prompts. Where was I at 3 months ago? Where was I at 6 months ago? Do I feel the same way? Am I the same exact person? And that helps. So that's today's live, short one. These are tips to know if the healing is working. It's not usually black or white. It's not usually linear. But these are tips to help you realize if it's working or if it's not. Of course, I'm going to always say if you get a chance to see a therapist, someone who has professional techniques and they have a professional ability to help you get past whatever you're going through, whatever you're facing. So, thanks you guys for stopping in. Come back later. I'll see you.